director of the Mauthousen Memorial, Dr. Wiesenthal, who will welcome our group and address our group.
Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, wir dürfen Sie im Namen des Teams der KZ-Gedenkstätte Mauthausen sehr herzlich willkommen heißen. Mein Name ist Gudrun Bloberger, das ist Rupert Bilsel. Wir sind Mitarbeiterinnen der Bildungsabteilung an der KZ-Gedenkstätte.
On behalf of the Mauthousen Memorial, Gudrun Bloberger, the head of the Education Department, would like to welcome you. Gudrun and me were both working in the Education Department of the Mauthousen Memorial.
Wir freuen uns, dass Sie bei uns auf Besuch sind und freuen uns gleichzeitig, dass wir in Erinnerung an eine sehr besondere Person hier zusammenkommen.
We are very happy that you're here today, and also it's a pleasure that we have you with us and that we will meet today because of a very special person.
Simon Wiesenthal war wie viele andere im Konzentrationssystem Mauthausen inhaftiert und er hat Großes in der Nachkriegsgeschichte Österreichs und weltweit geleistet.
Simon Wiesenthal was, as thousands of others, a prisoner of the Mauthousen Concentration Camp, and he was very important for prosecuting the Nazis, to uncover Nazi crimes, and also very important for Austrian history after the war, after the Second World War.
Deswegen freuen wir uns sehr, dass Sie bei uns zu Gast sind und in Erinnerung an Simon Wiesenthal eine Gedenktafel stiften. Den Organisatoren ein großes Dankeschön dafür und Ihnen ein großes Dankeschön für Ihren Besuch.
We are very grateful that you're mounting the memorial plaque for Simon Wiesenthal today. We also would like to thank the organizers who made everything possible. Pleasure having you guys with us today.
Thank you very much.
We have come to this difficult and tragic place, a holy place, because many of our loved ones among our people spent their last moments here. And yet, in this pastoral setting, belies obviously the horror that went on here for many years under the auspices of the Third Reich. Coming here today as we are from many different countries, expressing our solidarity with our brothers and sisters and all those who died here of many different faiths, together with several distinguished personalities. So I want to acknowledge the distinguished member of the Austrian Parliament, Mr. Nicholas Prinz, as well as the Deputy Mayor, Erika Bunsen, Dr. Charlotte Herman, who is the head of the Jewish community, who will give us remarks, and again, our own distinguished personalities from the Simon Wiesenthal Center, Rabbi Marvin Heyer, Rabbi Abraham Cooper, who will also share words with us as well in the course of our ceremony. At the rising of the sun and when it sets, we remember you. At the beginning of the year and at its close, we remember you. In the gloom of winter or in the bright days of summer, we remember you. You, our fathers and mothers, our brothers and sisters, our teachers, our rabbis, our neighbors and our friends. You who are so full of strength, so full of energy and potential, so pious, so innocent, so vibrant, so loving, so good and so pure. You who are so cruelly stolen from your homes, your shuls, your places of work. You who are separated from your families and thrust into darkness and death, all because you were a Jew. You, our blood, our pride, our holy role models crushed beneath the villain's jackboots, burned and scattered as ashes to the wind. What can we give to you now that you have left this world? What can we, the living, do to repay the sacrifice and courage you demonstrated? We can only give you our love, our tears, our thanks, and to promise that your name and memory will continue to shine in the deepest part of our hearts, and that your sanctification of Hashem's name will live on through us and our children and our children's children, and will never ever be forgotten. Amen.
Amen.
Mr. Prince, please.
Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, ich darf Sie herzlich bei uns im Bezirk Berg und in Oberösterreich willkommen heißen.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you in the district of Perg and in the state of Upper Austria.
Ich darf im Namen von Herrn Landeshauptmann Magister Stelzer herzliche Grüße übermitteln und bedanke mich bei Ihnen, dass Sie die Gedenkstätte besuchen.
On behalf of the Governor of Upper Austria, Mr. Stelzer, I would like to welcome you and thank you for visiting the Mauthousen Memorial.
Das Jahr 2018 ist für uns ein Gedenkjahr, zum Beispiel 100 Jahre Ende des Ersten Weltkrieges, beziehungsweise wurde vor 100 Jahren die Erste Republik gegründet. Und auch wenn wir 80 Jahre zurückschauen an das Jahr 1938, wissen wir, welche leidvolle Zeit begonnen hat.
The year 2018 is a year of commemoration in Austria. 100 years ago, the First World War ended, which also created, in retrospect, the First Republic of Austria. And also 80 years ago, in 1938, was a time when a lot of pain started, a lot of suffering, a very painful time for many, many people.
Ich glaube, das Wichtigste ist, dass wir immer wieder vermitteln, dass es gegenseitige Wertschätzung, Respekt und Toleranz braucht, damit solche Dinge wie damals nicht wieder beginnen können.
I think it is very important that we keep in mind that we need respect and tolerance for other people so that these things never happen again.
Viele von Ihnen hatten Angehörige, die hier in Mauthausen inhaftiert waren und haben sozusagen auch leidvolle Beziehungen dazu. Deshalb ist es wichtig, dass wir immer wieder massiv darauf achten, dass solche Dinge keinen Nährboden mehr finden in der Zukunft.
As many of you have relatives who were imprisoned in Mauthausen as well, it is especially important for us that we fight against any tendencies, that might recreate something like what happened in the past. Is very important that we prevent that in the future, of course.
Aus diesem Grund unterstützen auch das Land Oberösterreich und die Republik Österreich natürlich die Gedenkstätte Mauthausen, und es ist uns eine sehr wichtige und wertvolle Einrichtung. Und ich persönlich darf mich bei Ihnen noch einmal bedanken, wünsche Ihnen einen schönen Aufenthalt und für die Zukunft alles Gute.
The state of Upper Austria considers the Mauthousen Memorial as a very, very important institution, and also supports the Mauthousen Memorial as good as it can. To you, thank you again for visiting the Mauthousen Memorial, and all the best for the future.
Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, werte Gäste, es ist mir eine besondere Freude, Sie heute und hier im Namen der Stadt Linz und unseres Bürgermeisters Klaus Luger begrüßen zu dürfen.
It's a pleasure to welcome you today in the name of the Mayor of the City of Linz, Mr. Luger, at the Mauthousen Memorial today.
Es ist mir eine ganz besondere Ehre, heute einem Menschen zu gedenken, Simon Wiesenthal, dessen Lebenswerk es war, immer wieder zu erinnern, die Hand auf die Wunde zu legen, nicht zu vergessen und immer wieder darauf bedacht war, dass er den Opfern des Nazi-Terrorregimes immer wieder Gerechtigkeit zugefügt wurde.
It is a pleasure for me today. It's an honor to be here today with you and also to commemorate Simon Wiesenthal, who made sure that people do not forget, who basically uncovered Nazi crimes,
Simon Wiesenthal erinnert uns immer wieder an die dunkelste Zeit unserer Geschichte und er ist ein Mahnmal, dass nie wieder, never ever, Dinge passieren dürfen, wie sie hier passiert sind. Wo man gesehen hat, wozu Menschen fähig sind, andere Menschen diese Dinge anzutun. Seien wir wachsam, hören wir zu, achten wir auf Zeichen und solche Dinge in Zukunft verhindern.
Simon Wiesenthal in a way is a monument that would also remind us Austrians of a dark chapter in our history. But he's also a monument to the future in a way, to remind us that these things should never happen again.
Hier soll ein Mahnmal sein für die Jugend, speziell an nächste Generationen, die immer wieder darauf achten müssen. Toleranz wurde schon erwähnt, aber auch miteinander Empathie zu empfinden, sich gegenseitig zu verstehen, lernen und einfach verhindern, dass Menschen anderen Menschen wieder wehtun.
Simon Wiesenthal is also a monument, especially for young people, because they're the next generation as well, to respect other people, to show tolerance towards other people, so that these things never happen again.
Ich wünsche Ihnen allen noch einen schönen Aufenthalt und bedanke mich nochmals für Ihr Kommen.
I wish you a pleasant stay in Austria and would like to thank you again for visiting the Mauthousen Memorial.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, my English is not so good, but I try to speak in English. I want to welcome you here. It's, as the speakers before spoke, it's a very great moment to have you here in the concentration camp, where many Jews were murdered, and not only Jews, of course. It's a very, very important thing that there are always these ceremonies, and especially today for Simon Wiesenthal, who was a survivor of more than about 12 concentration camps and was freed from this concentration camp with about less than 40 kilograms. I think he was freed when he was got out of here and he was going on hands and feet and couldn't stand straight. It's very important to make this because there are almost no survivors of this time. And so it's very dangerous that it could be forgotten. And so it's important that there will be memorials at what place forever it could be, that to remind this terrible and horrible time. And I thank you all that you are making this for Simon Wiesenthal, and maybe there will be other places we can do plaques or something other to remind this terrible time. And I'm very, very glad to welcome you in the afternoon at the synagogue. And have a nice time. We will see you in the afternoon again.
This is a very difficult place to speak. First of all, I had the privilege of being here with Simon Wiesenthal a number of occasions, right here as we walked through the camp. He was the most unusual person. He lost 89 members of his family. His only daughter once asked him, "Why are we different from all other families? We never see any relatives." He once asked a person to deliberately lie and tell his daughter that she was a relative in order that she should not be completely disenfranchised from the rest of society. He was an architect by profession. He was meant to build homes. Instead, he became world famous for bringing to justice those who destroyed homes. He had no training, but he brought more than 1,000 Nazi war criminals to justice. Amongst them, the commandant of Treblinka, the commandant of Sobibor, the inventor of the mobile gas vans. He also was responsible for bringing numerous concentration camp guards. You know what he did every day? He sat at his desk, and on the other side was a map of all the concentration camps. And whenever he wanted to doze off to a different type of concern, he couldn't take himself away from that map. And one of the principal points of that map was Mauthousen Concentration Camp. We stand on the grounds of one of the largest cemeteries in the world. And we need to take to heart what Simon Wiesenthal said. No one will do it for us. We have to do it for ourselves. And he rolled up his sleeves and lived 24/7, lived through these horrors every day. He once told me, "You think I wouldn't prefer to go to hear an opera, to go to hear entertainment? Unfortunately, I cannot break myself away from the commitment that I made to my 6 million brothers and sisters." And in his memory, this will never happen again. We will never rely on the world. We have to rely on ourselves, good people, men and women, Jews and non-Jews. We can't rely on world leaders. They were nowhere to be found during the Shoah. We can only rely on good men and women who are determined that these plaques should never have to be put up anywhere again in the world. Let me say one thing about what happened, that we should take a lesson from Simon Wiesenthal. Unfortunately, there was a tragic attack, anti-Semitic attack, in a shul in Pittsburgh. The whole world knows about it. What is the solution to that attack? The name of the shul is Eitz Chaim, a tree of life. But that's not the solution. The solution is Eitz Chaim hi lamachzikim bo. A tree of life is only good lamachzikim bo if there are people strong enough to stand up, not in our city, not in our town, not in our country, then it'll be an Eitz Chaim. It can't be an Eitz Chaim unless it's lamachzikim bo, that our political leaders, our world leaders, our spiritual leaders say no more on this planet. That would be the greatest tribute to Simon Wiesenthal.
I'd like to ask Mr. Sintel, a member of the Board of Trustees of the Simon Wiesenthal Center, to unveil the plaque, and then I'll have some comments to make. Hope lives when people remember. Simon Wiesenthal, liberated by U.S. soldiers, Mauthousen Concentration Camp, May 1945. After the war, Simon Wiesenthal dedicated his life to prosecuting Nazi war criminals and bringing those responsible for the Holocaust to justice. This plaque is humbly dedicated by a group of fellow Jews and the Simon Wiesenthal Center on the 19th of Cheshvan, 5779, October 28, 2018. The quote from Mr. Wiesenthal, "Hope lives when people remember." I'd like to tell a little bit about Mr. Wiesenthal, who I have the honor of knowing for nearly 3 decades, but also about a U.S. soldier who is here on the day of liberation. 12 years ago, I opened our traveling exhibition, Courage to Remember, 50 feet from Martin Luther King's grave in Atlanta. One person, a member of the Georgia State Legislature, came an hour early and sought me out. Very dapper gentleman, a successful lawyer, and he said, I had to come early because I have some questions. I was born in Harlem, the middle child of 7 kids. Each of us had a different father. I left home. I managed to get to Columbia University Law School. I came down here to Georgia. I'm an American success story. But I'm empty inside because I spent years investigating my past, my genealogy, my roots. And I only can go back as 1851 to a certain plantation in Virginia. I came here because I have no hope. I came here because I wanted to learn from the Jews. How is it that you maintain the hope, that you maintained after the Holocaust a continuity and rebuilt the Jewish homeland? How is it possible? That's why I came early. And when we stand here, we had a wonderful guy, Daniel. It's not my first time here, but when you walk through here, for the people, Mr. Wiesenthal, as the president of the community mentioned, when the U.S. soldiers came through, he was too weak to stand up and embrace the soldiers. He literally had to crawl out of the barracks. And it would be a long time before he was physically able to stand erect, but that didn't stop him. You'll come to the Museum of Tolerance in Los Angeles. You'll see a document from May 26th, from May 5th, May 26, 1945, when he handed in to the U.S. Government, to the officials here, the first list of Nazi war criminals that they should go out and arrest. So our secret of survival, of that continuity, the bridge that so many others who went through slavery don't have the bridge to their past. We were bestowed a great gift through the tenacity and faith of people like Simon Wiesenthal. Amazing that he could use the term, hope lives when people remember after having experienced the hell, after having lost virtually everyone except his beloved Sela, after he sacrificed everything in the decades following the war, including his shalom bayit. His wife once said, Simon, I think you have 2 wives. You're married to me, and you're married to 6 million ghosts. All of the survivors, each and every one of them, we owe a debt of gratitude for creating that bridge that the Nazis wanted to cut off forever. And secondly, this is an appropriate time for the Simon Wiesenthal Center to remember Colonel Richard Seibel from Defiance, Ohio. Richard Seibel was a tough GI who fought his way from France right across to this location. And he became the first commandant of the liberated Mauthousen Concentration Camp. And there were people here incarcerated from dozens of countries across Europe. Unbeknownst to the Nazis, the inmates in the weeks leading up to liberation, because they knew the end was coming, they decided they needed a symbol to keep them alive another hour, another day, another week. And it's amazing that they decided that the symbol they wanted to create was the flag of the United States of America. Perhaps in part because they hoped against hope the Russians wouldn't get here first, but also for obvious reasons in terms of what the United States of America stands for. And so when Richard Seibel was installed as the Commandant, he was given an American flag, a unique one. It had 13 bars. Somebody remembered that we had 13 original states. No one at Mauthousen in April 1945 had any clue how many states there were. So when you come and visit that flag, which we used for many years at Yom HaShoah, is now too fragile, you'll find an American flag with 56 stars. Because it was really a symbolic flag of the potential of what America stood for the people who were dying here, and what it can still mean for the future. So it is appropriate for us to look at that quote from Simon. Hope lives when people remember. Simon Wiesenthal, a great warrior, the justice, a great Jew. Colonel Richard Seibel, a great American and a great soldier, who always kept that flag, and when it was time, he knew the one place he wanted to deliver it was the Simon Wiesenthal Center.